it's my first live stream, sorry. Just fiddling around a little bit. Yep, so trying to kind of get a feel of how this thing works actually. But all right, so we've got, I decided to do a live stream session for my VR plugin. And I thought I'll do a bit of a practice with the OpenJam. So I'm gonna create a simple VR game out of it and also test the OBS software. This one that does live streaming. So I have absolutely zero experience in doing any live streaming. So I've done YouTube videos and such, but no live stream. So yeah, let's see how this one goes. And yeah, what I plan to do, I guess, for today, as to begin with, is to create a GitHub repository for the code that I'll be making for the game jam. And yeah, set it up in public. So the OpenJam is a jam for open source, I believe, software or games. And yeah, so I'll set that one up in my GitHub repository, and I guess we'll take it from there. We'll create a basic UE4 VR project using my plugin, and just so I can share how I normally do it and how I normally start the project from the ground up. So hopefully that's also useful for others. All right, so yeah, let's get on with it, I guess. All right, so I'm just gonna have a look at my GitHub repo here. I've got a couple of stuff in here already. Let me just create a new repository. Let's call this one OpenJam 2017. And let's put a description later. So we'll make it public. I'll add a README in there. Let's put MIT for the license. Okay, and we're not gonna do a git ignore for now. Just gonna tell you why in a second. So create that repository there. Just wait a bit. All right, so since I'm doing a live coding in Unreal, it might be a lot of audio lag, so I'm not sure how you handle dead air, but we'll see. All right, so creating repository, so that should come up pretty soon. And of course, something went wrong. It's interesting. Try that. And I'm not sure what's happening here. Let's have a look. That did not kick in, I think, because there was only 13. Let's try that again. This live stream is going great so far. All right, so initialize the repo with a README, add an MIT license, create. Let's see. Yep, that kicked in, so not sure what happened there. I'm using a same PC for doing the live stream, so that could be it. So let's see how OBS and Unreal plays well together, and with VR as well. So let's hope I don't nuke my processor in the process. So for this live stream, I'm going to use Gitkraken. I normally use SourceTree for doing some of my Git stuff, but I've been trying out Gitkraken. It's pretty cool, but it seems to have a difficulty handling like large repositories. But for this one, I'm pretty sure we can handle it. So all right, so we're going to clone this one. Clone and open Gitkraken. And let's see. All right, so I'm gonna clone a repository. I'm gonna put that in there. And oh, sorry, that's not what I wanted. So we go to, right, so I've created this folder here, stream projects. And we're gonna do the URL in there. Clone the repo, and that shouldn't take too long. Let's open it. All right, so let's see what it did. Stream project should create, yep, subdirectory there. All right, so that's the beginning of our repository on, well, my local repository. And all right, so what I normally do is I have my own git ignore stuff in here. So I'm just gonna quickly show you. So this is basically like a compendium of stuff that I've been adding to with all different projects. So, but basically it takes out binaries and stuff and things that you don't actually need to be in the GitHub repository. For my plugin, I do include the binaries because I understand a lot of people don't do C++ and don't want to compile the project. So I do that as a courtesy. And also for recently for the marketplace, I just give them binaries and I pre-compiled it for them, so they just publish it onto the marketplace. All right, so it's that one's fairly simple, and I do have a Git attributes as well. So over different projects, I've got like LFS set up for different types of files. So I've set it all up in here so that I've got LFS for those projects in the GitHub repo. So I'm going to include that. And we're going to go through those in a while. So I'm just going to copy that through. All right. So bear with me while if I seem to be fiddling a little bit. I'm going to be doing this on one monitor instead of normally I use two. So all right, so let's go to Steam Projects, Open Jam, and put that in there. And that should be it. And all right, so it's a good time to commit, but let's not do that yet. All right, so just trying to make a decision here of what version of the engine to use. I guess we're gonna use the latest engine 4.18. With a source copy version of it. So I've got that here as a repository taken from their GitHub account. So I think, yeah, I'm gonna use this one. So engine binaries, and so if you're using the stock version, yeah, you just have to obviously just open it up from the Unreal Launcher, or if you have a shortcut for it already, just open that up. But for me, I'm going to use a compiled version from the source code from GitHub, from Epic. All right, so no editing in live stream. Cool. All right, so I'm just going to open that and wait a little bit for that to come through. And I guess while we're waiting, okay, let's just get rid of this there. We can do a commit. Added git stuff and stage, commit, push. All right, so stage the files. For those not familiar with Git, so stage the files for all the changes that I want to commit to my local repository. So then I did a commit. I guess I did that a little bit too quickly. Then I did a push so that it gets to the remote repository. All right, so stage, commit, push. In source tree, they have a nice feature where you commit and then you can immediately push to the remote repository. I haven't figured that out yet in Git Kraken, but it's no biggie. All right, so let's see. Is Unreal still at it? Should be. Sometimes you just have to be patient with it. Yep, it's going. It's going. All right, so what are we doing? So we're going to do a new project. Just going to do a basic C++ code. So basic code means just like a blank project. So I'm not going to have any starter content. I'm going to create everything from scratch for this game jam. It's not going to be anything fancy or anything great. It's meant for me to learn all this live streaming stuff, and also for me to share information or to kind of teach how to do UE4 VR, maybe with a bit of C++ as well. So yeah, let's see what we can do for the projects here. We're gonna do some stuff. I don't know where I place things, but stream projects, open jam. Let's see. All right, so one of the things is, unless it's changed recently, Unreal wouldn't allow me to do this, but all right, so let's just do it. So I'm just gonna put it there, and it's gonna put it on a subfolder, which I don't really like. OpenGem 2017, I guess. Create the project. Da-da-da. Create it. And we're gonna fix it a little bit. All right, so you can see I've got the full source code of the engine, which I really like when I'm doing projects. So I could see, and also kind of cheat, just have a look at the engine source code and try to figure out how Epic does stuff. Or yeah, just see, especially if there are any issues or there are any bugs as well. It helps to kind of see the source code and kind of traverse through a debugging session through it. All right, so I'm babbling now. Let's see what we've got on the directory, stream projects, OpenGem 2017, OpenGem 2017. All right, so I really don't like that setup. So what I'm gonna do, so have I closed Unreal? Yep. I'm just gonna move this up one directory here. And close Visual Studio. Let's not save that. Then try again. Try again. What is it complaining about? See OpenDB. So Visual Studio is still not fully closed. All right, so we're just gonna skip that. Let's see what we've got. Let's remove that. All right, so so that database file is just basically for Visual Studio. We can recreate it, so that's not a big deal. All right, so now I've got it where I want it to be. Let's just generate the Visual Studio files again. All right, so that's done. And I'm gonna create a plugins folder now for my plugin. So I'm gonna do plugins. Yeah. Okay, so this. All right, so this is where we're gonna do another clone from my GitHub repository for the plugin. So because I will want to change a bit of the source code for sure, because most projects I do tend to kind of modify it a little bit just to fit the well, whatever I'm doing or whatever game I'm doing. Yep, so let's just do that. We'll clone a repo for there. So let's see. I'm going to, so this repo here, let me just open it up just to be sure. All right, so I've got this main repository here, which includes a demo project. But for most cases, you would want to do just the plugin only repository. So yeah, you don't need the demo project because obviously you have your own project and you just want the plugin itself. So I've got here for a plugin only repository, click here. So clicking that. Never seen my internet so sluggish. So all of this streaming stuff. All right, so might need to set up for future streams my other machine to do the streams for me, because that is quite slow. All right. Okay, so what do we have? So we've got this repository, and as of the date of this stream, We're still in version 4.17 of the engine. Since I'm using the latest and greatest of the copy of the engine, which is 4.18, I have a branch here for 4.18. Okay, so I've done some work on this to make sure it's compatible with the upcoming 4.18 version of the engine. All right, so what do we do? Okay, so we're gonna clone this one. Let's do this, and let's just clone with URL again. And we're gonna browse to, where are we going? Stream projects, OpenJam, 2017 plugins. All right, so we're gonna clone here, and it's gonna create another subfolder. But for this one, we might not be able to do much about it. But all right, so I'm gonna clone that repository. Am I on the right? Okay. And then we're just gonna make sure that we're on the right branch after we've cloned that. So in your case, you might want to fork the plugin. So we're gonna open that. And so that's in master. We're gonna go to 4.18 so that we're sure that we're in 4.18. So let's see what it's done, because I've got the normal one, which I use to actually modify the plugin in here. And I guess we have that one as well now. So we're gonna open the OpenJam again. So right now, what do we have? If I go back to OpenJam 2017, I should have a plugin here and another directory. Yep, but that's fine. Epic can handle that. So we have, Unreal Engine can handle that. All right, and then we've got the repository here. Just thinking. All right, so we can, I guess we should do that. Let's open this, make sure I open the correct repository here. So this is the one for my plugin. I'm just gonna create a new branch from here. And so right click, create branch. Let's call it 4.18 OpenJam 2017. All right. So any changes I made will stay on this one. We'll do that. And we've got that, and that looks cool. Alrighty. Then let's go back to OpenJam. All right, so now I've got my own branch for the plugin, and I can safely do my changes without affecting the actual one that's on distributed for everyone else. All right. So if I haven't lost you yet, I have your plugin, OpenJam 2017, and I've got the solution files already, and let's just open it up. And it's gonna ask me to do a recompile, and that's fine. Although this might take a while. I'm just gonna do a mute for one sec. I'm gonna drink coffee for a while while we wait for that in a while. Let's see. All right, was just making sure that the hotkeys I've made for the mute and unmute is working. All right, so yep, so that's just gonna build. Well, what it's doing now, I guess for everyone who's not familiar with the Unreal Engine, is it's compiling the project itself as well as the plugin, because I'm using the source code version of the plugin. So, and it usually takes some time for that to happen. And yeah. So maybe I should play Paragon. I play a lot of Paragons. Maybe I should play Paragon so that there's not a bit of a dead air. Anyways, all right. So my first live stream, folks. So be gentle. All right. if anyone's watching anyways. I didn't announce this on purpose. 'Cause I kind of wanted to see how it goes first. But yeah, and yeah, so I didn't get any hardware as well for the new hardware for doing this live stream. So I think an audio, um, like a really good microphone might be a good thing, a good idea instead of this headset, because now it's getting a bit warm. And yeah, all right, so it's doing reflection code and just doing its thing. Unreal just compiling stuff. All right, and all right, so maybe while that's going on, I'm just going to explain a couple of the other files I've got on my reference directory. So I've got default engine.txt. So what I've got here are some common settings I have for virtual reality. So I have the forward renderer set to true and instance stereo set to true, and a couple of system settings here, which was plucked out directly from the Epic site. This is the settings that they used for their showdown demo for VR. So obviously, you'd want to tweak this, but for a really quick setting for VR or something like this, where it's you don't really want to tweak too much. Just want to make sure that you have a pretty good balance setting for VR I don't know why I drew a blank there, but for a for performance issues, for performance reasons, then you're gonna I tend to use this as a starting point and then kind of tweak it from there, depending on how the project goes. So I'm not an artist, so most of the stuff I do is mostly on the code side. I do a bit of artwork, but my skills there are very limited. So in projects that I contribute to, I tend to do the code, but do tend to do some system settings as well if we're having problems with performance. Okay, but most of the time, if you've got really talented artists, they tend to do that themselves as well. So I guess it'll be worth it to actually go through some of these settings and where to tweak them as well from within the engine. So these are just the default settings. So if you override the default settings, so Unreal was going to use this, but you can tweak it afterwards as well on the default profiles. Yeah, so that just is like kind of like a cheat sheet for me. So I copy that, and that goes with default engine.ini. Let's go back to, if I can find it, get me there. Yep. Projects. And let's have a look. Config default engine.ini. All right. Okay, that's a bit strange. So not that much in there. Could have shown there should be a bit more. So we've got that. Yep. Gonna save that in. And my machine is a bit sluggish. Let's see how all this streaming is, how my machine is handling all of this. Okay, expect the CPU, memory. It's not too bad. So I might want to stay away from Wi-Fi. Okay, I've got pretty good Wi-Fi, internal Wi-Fi, so I thought it might be okay, but I can just simply plug it into the Ethernet. All right, to the LAN. All right, for future stream. All right, so what's Unreal doing now? So yep, so it's finished compiling, and it's now opening. The initial compile usually takes a lot longer than the feature ones, so I'm trying to build up all those intermediate files in there. Oops. If we go back to, although I did see that in there already, you can see it's a lot of intermediate and derived data cache. Some doing it, and yeah, just wait for it a little bit, and it should come up. All right, so welcome to Unreal. Okay, hello. I haven't I've been on holidays for roughly a week, so I haven't seen this baby for a while. So hello. Okay, let's do that. And if you're using the source code version, you're immediately gonna see all of this in here. Well, not immediately. You're gonna have to click show plugin content from here so you can see all the plugin content. So I've pre-made some blueprints in there and some materials for starters, and you also have a couple of those things in there. And let's see. If you're using the marketplace version, you're gonna have to do both this one and the show engine content. So what that does is also shows engine content. Because if you download the plugin from the marketplace, it somehow makes it an engine plugin, and it would come up along with the engine content. All right, and you could see this is also where you see a lot of the engine test content and classes. If you ever want to poke around with that, at the moment, let's keep it simple, keep it there, and that's it. All right, so at this stage, we've got a pretty basic setup going. Let's see if the settings actually kick through. I don't know if I did that in time, but we'll have a look. So we'll do the forward renderer. Forward shading is not on, so that setting has not kicked in. So really bad. Should have done that before, but we're just gonna restart it. Shouldn't take too long. So now that we've got the project linked up, so you can open a U project file like this. So I've got an engine association there already, so I don't need to open up the editor manually anymore from the binary. So just double click that, and it should be using the source code version of the 418. Can't recall which one I've got in there. I think it's the one from Friday after preview 3 was released. So then a couple of more commits from the Epic team were added. All right, so what are we gonna do next is, so we've set up the project with set up the basic VR stuff, enabled my plugin. So we're just gonna create a test map, and well, not a test map, our first map, first level, and set up the plugin for that level. And what I use, so just to keep things organized, I use Alar's style guide. Let's see there, and shows you some of the naming conventions that I'll be using in this stream, and in most of my projects I tend to use nowadays. I tend to stick to this, perhaps not fully, but yeah, I try to at least. And of course, I've got the UE code standard here for the C++ stuff. Okay, which reminds me, there's another file there that I haven't told you about, which is this snippet code. So this is kind of like my cheat sheet in Visual Studio of all the UE macros and some of the common things I normally do or tend to do when coding in C++ for the Unreal Engine. So just saves me from trying to remember all of them. And kind of, yeah, and saves a hell of a lot of typing as well. So this is already linked up to my Visual Studio, so I can just use that quickly. So that's what that code snippet is. All right, so it's gonna rebuild the shaders because we've changed to forward rendering. Sorry. And now we'll create, I guess we can start off with this map here. That's fine. We're gonna save this default map. And we're gonna do world settings, and let's create, although I could use these pre-made ones. That's fine. But let's do it from scratch. So I'm gonna do it from the C++ classes. So the pawn, let's create a C++ class derived from this pawn. And I'm gonna call it VR pawn. And oops, sorry, what am I doing? C++, I should be doing a blueprint, or I want to do a blueprint class out of it. So VR pawn. And okay, I'm gonna do some folders. First, I'm gonna do a folder here, OpenJam 2017. What this does is kind of encapsulates all of your content into this subfolder here, so that if you're gonna use marketplace assets or other third-party assets, you could put them onto subfolders from content. So, and then it becomes easy if you want to delete them afterwards. So when you're doing your level blocking and stuff. All right. So in this case, we've got OpenJam 2017. Gonna create a folder called VR. I'm gonna put all of our VR stuff in here. All right. So let's. Now we can do from here. And yeah, oops, sorry. I see C++ and I click on it. VR pawn, and we're gonna do that in there. VR create blueprint class, and that should be it. All right, so easy peasy. You've got a VR pawn with motion controllers in it, right? And really quickly, let's use static mesh for now. Might want to change that to a skeletal mesh at some point, but I'm gonna have a mesh for the left and a static mesh again for the right hand. All right, there. Save. And I'm gonna use so this one comes up because I've already got some of the starter content from my plugin in here. So I got meshes and materials. So we're just gonna use that for now. I should rig this hand actually, so you can do animations on it. So that's coming up on a future version, I guess. So I probably don't want a world grid material there. So we're gonna use one of my white boxing materials here. It's just let's use a material instance that I've made for that. Let's use blue for left hand. Am I on the left hand? Yep. And red for the right hand. All right, so shaders are still building. Let's see how it goes. So this should be perfectly lined up if I did my job right. So the right hand is, because I'm using just one mesh, right? So it's just a right hand. So gonna make the right hand the left hand by just changing this to -1. Bingo. And we've got left and right. So that should be perfectly aligned, all set up for you. And yep, compile, save. Now, while that's still compiling shaders, let's do a game mode. So let's create a new blueprint class, for crying out loud. And then let's just use game mode base. And then call this BPVR game mode. Okay. And from here, we're gonna change the default pawn class to the one that we just made, which is this one. Is that right? Because I just want to make sure I'm not using the one from the content, so from the plugin. That should be correct. Yep. And VR pawn, and that's it. So we have our game mode, and in the world settings here, just gonna use that game mode that we just created, and we're gonna save a level. Let's create a folder here. Oops, sorry. Create a folder called maps. Put that in there. And call it, what are we calling it? Level 00. A good name. All right, so let's see. And settings, project settings. Let's do the maps and modes. So game mode base is BPVR game mode and should have the editor startup to level 00 and tree to level 00. And while we're here, let's do the project description. PenJam 2017. Open Jam 2017. Licensing is MIT license. Right. Pretty sure I have to put the MIT link there. Let's fill that in. That doesn't seem right. And the licensing terms, put the link in there. Okay. I can do that, I guess, as well. Should we put some stuff in here? Okay, so, and I hope the shaders are finished, and we've got that stuff in there. We've made a couple of changes to the project settings. Might want to do another restart, but not now. All right, so let's just test this quickly. So should be just double check I did everything right. So we've got game mode, VR pawn, and everything. So we're working, and we're just gonna do a VR preview. So I'm using my headphone, so I'm gonna take it off and just try it. I'm using the Rift for this live stream because I normally code with the Rift instead of the Vive, so Vive is quite heavy. All right, so let's try it. Okay, so left hand is blue. Okay, so might want to rotate the mesh like this so that I'm holding it like this. Okay. Scale wise looks good. All right, so let's try it. Okay, give me a sec. All right, so I might want to rotate that 90 degrees to the x-axis. So which one is this? This is the left hand. So that should have been negative 90, I guess. Yep. And right hand is, let's just have a look at what we're looking at here, 90. All right, so, all right, what are we doing? Left and right. Seems good. And yeah, that looks okay. Quick test, should be fine. All right, so that feels a bit more natural. So I've got my hands and they're rotated in the right way. This, have a look around. Yeah, so default level, and we're gonna make it interesting in a while. So, okay. All right, so we've got all of this set up, and at this point, I would actually want to do a commit. So we stage all the changes, set up VR stuff, and commit. So all of these things have changed, and you're gonna put that in there. So the repository is obviously open on public. It's part of the rules of the Open Game Jam. So you can have a copy of the source code anytime you want to. And of course, my plugin is also open source. So, and the Unreal Engine is I don't think it's an open source license, but it is. The source is open or is out there, or yeah, that you can get it. But of course, it's a licensed piece of software. But it is free. If you're using it for education purposes or you're not profiting from it, obviously. And then you get the licensing terms it's actually on their website, but then you need to pay a certain commission to Epic once you reach a certain amount of revenue or income for from your game or your experience. So yeah, for this thing, so we're doing for game jams and stuff, it's fine. For projects where you gain revenue, just have to monitor, make sure that you provide the nice folks at Epic their share of the profits or of the revenue, sorry, not profits, of the revenue that you get from your product, because it did make such a cool engine. All right, so we've got that in there. What have we done? And that's pretty much it for a basic setup. And let's just have a look again at what we've done. What have we done? 14 repositories, gem. All right, so now, and I should have done this at the beginning actually. So we got a, let's not do it from here. I tend to do it from here. It's just easy. But let's do it from, let's do it properly. Let's do it from Access here, Steam projects, OpenJam. So the README. So I'm gonna use Visual Studio Code. All right, so what game are we doing? So let's create a simple VR wave shooter, I guess. So for those who've been playing VR for a while, it's probably the most vanilla game you could create, or most boring one. Well, not boring, but the most common one, I guess. So wave shooter. So simple VR wave shooter, but it'll be good for this purpose of just kind of try to for this live stream, get a feel of live streaming for me and for you guys, to kind of see how kind of piece together projects, VR projects using my plugin and the Unreal Engine. So yeah, so maybe I should plug my plugin a little bit for those not familiar with the plugin. So it's available in GitHub and let's see, in the marketplace as well. So if you type VR plugin, it shouldn't be too many. It's this one. So you can grab a copy of it from here. So, all right. So we're just gonna create for this thing, just gonna create a very simple VR wave shooter. Theme is, what is the theme? Leave a mark. Leave a mark. Shooter for the OpenJam 2017. The theme is leave a mark. Okay. And to demo UE4 VR capabilities. Made to test live stream. Made to test live stream and live coding using the open source Runebag VR plugin. Junberg, okay, that's a good code name. Runebag VR plugin. So make test live stream live coding using the open source Runebag VR plugin and the open, what do you call it? Open code UE4 engine. So it's not really open source, is it? And in this series, we'll try to use mostly open source assets or create from scratch. Source tools and assets, or create one from scratch. All right, so should I do open education? All right, so we're kind of beating a dead horse stick in here. So we got OpenJam 2017. We're gonna use open code UE4 engine. I'm doing air quotes here. Open source, yeah, and this one is real open source under the MIT license. So Runebag VR plugin, and gonna use Blender for the modeling and rigging. I'll do animations from UE. What else? I'm gonna use I guess Audacity for the audio. It's open source. I tend to use Reaper nowadays. Don't think that's open source, but yep. And yeah, I can't use popcorn effects for this project because because it's going to be open source. That means I have to give out the source code. And for popcorn effects, that means I would have to give out their private TLL, which they don't allow to be redistributed. Yeah, so, and I guess that's pretty much it. Oh, well, OBS as well, the live streaming software I'm using, is open source, maybe. Yep, it's open source, and yeah, that's what we can do for this live stream. So let's create a simple wave shooter. Probably not gonna do much after this. I take a break. Anyway, so we'll do some stuff, I guess, to get started, and tomorrow we should finish a little bit. What do I want to do? I want to possibly create, since it's a wave shooter, let's create a target. And for the mechanic, maybe while I'm saying this, so we'll have a mechanic, shooting mechanic, would be a shooting mechanic is I've always wanted to do a game where you have Cyclops from the X-Men, where you kind of fire a laser I-beam. So I have a gaze component on my plugin, and we're gonna reuse some of the code from there. Well, maybe not. Yeah, but we can use some of its functionality. So we're gonna use a gaze shooting. So one hand near the headset, thus targeting. Marks a target. So I have to keep it to the theme. One hand near the headset marks target, and when both hands are near the headset, we fire a laser beam. Okay, so in VR, it's probably not a good idea to fire one laser beam right in front of your eyes. You're gonna get cross-eyed. So we fire 4 laser beams on the corners of the VR camera. So that's the shooting mechanic. What's the goal? Should have come up first, actually. What's our goal? Not quite sure yet. I guess I need to fit it to the theme. Normally, of course, you'd work with a theme and then create a game out of that. But I want to create something that's I know will touch up a lot of the different areas of the engine for VR, and not be overly convoluted, so that it's not too complicated to follow with. So we have, the goal is to shoot waves of something, leaving by marking them first via a continuous gaze. Did I spell that correctly? Probably not. Anyways, shoot waves of something by marking them first via a continuous gaze. Shooting waves of targets for now by marking them first via continuous gaze, and then kind of obliterating, destroying ones that have anything that are dangerous. All right, so just hit on an idea. Okay, so we're gonna have some targets where shoot waves of targets which could either be benign or dangerous. Player needs to mark them first via continuous gaze to see what's inside them. Or we can of course change it after what inside them, and then destroying ones that are dangerous via a laser, via a 4 laser beam sequence. We can actually have fun with that for a laser beam sequence, maybe. And then the shooting mechanic is gaze shooting. One hand near the headset marks a target, and when both hands are near the headset, we fire 4 laser beams on the corners of the VR camera. So yeah, quite simple, as simple as I could make it. I hope it's simple enough though, because I don't have really a lot of time to dedicate for this jam. How many? 1 day, 19 hours. Yeah, should be okay. If we don't make it, we don't make it. All right, so OpenGem I think that's pretty much it. So let's just kind of plan our stuff from here. We are doing, what do we need to do? To do one, I should really use the projects for GitHub. So it's kind of like a Trello board, but since I'm already here, let's just keep it simple. What do we need to do? Let's use create an actor that will act as a target, right? And then create an actor that will act as a target, and we'll use splines. Use splines for the path of the target waves. Use enable gaze component in the project. So, and then the rest of the stuff, well, I guess you need the laser mechanic. So we have the gaze mechanic, we have the laser mechanic. What else do we need to do? All right, so if we leave the marks in there, what's the win condition? I need to win condition. All right, I was planning to use this music, Alan Walker, the Spectre, because I just saw yesterday that it's been open source, so we're gonna use this one. And let's see, just thinking here, thinking out loud. This can be a bad habit though, thinking out loud you're in an office, but okay. So win condition is finishing reach goal of saved marks. Reach goal of saved marks, or maybe we kill the player. Stay alive until the end of song The Spectre from Alan Walker, which was made copyright free. So I need to kind of investigate if I can actually use that in the game. Otherwise, yeah, either I make one or we buy one. Or we grab, no, we can't buy one. We need to grab one from the something that's free and open source. So probably find something like Ode to Joy or something like this. Anyway, so that's the win condition. Stay alive until the end of the song. So your lose condition would be, what will be the lose condition? Get hit X number of times. So then we need a life marker indicator somehow. So I haven't thought of how we're gonna do that. But yep. All right, so yeah, and I think that's a pretty good start. Just gonna take a sip of coffee, sorry, 1 sec. It's around 10 a.m. here in Berlin, so roughly 11. I started playing and testing the hardware for a little while, so I'm not sure how this goes. Let's see if you can hear the ad. Great. All right, let's see what's happening here. Okay, so it's my friend there, Avi from Munich, subscribing. Well, let's see. Alright, so I'm hoping that it's actually coming through the stream. So 3 minute 26. I really like this song, so a bit of EDM. Is this a place that I call home to find what I've become? Walk along the path unknown. Alright, so we're gonna start using that. And I'll try if I can send a message and ask for the sound, otherwise we'll scrape it off from here. But I will ask if we are actually able to use, because they said it's copyright free. What does that entail is not quite clear, but need to research that. All right, so that's gonna be, so that's roughly around 3 minutes and 26 seconds. 3 minutes 26 seconds. Okay, so, and I guess that's it, live. All right, so let's get through this. Let's see what we can do. Let's do some of the, so this is the fun stuff. Let's put that last. I tend to want to do all the tedious stuff first, then we do the fun stuff later. Ooh. Should have just made this bullet points. Anyways. Alright, so, and then of course we need to do the do some dressing up. Just where we do the models and the mats and stuff. Okay, so we do level blocking here. So most of the gaming code will come up after this actually. So yep, and we should have that. FG. All right, so the worst thing that can happen is if I actually don't have any audio. I've been speaking so much. All right, so it looks like I've got audio there. All right, so, okay, so now let's go back to it. What was this one? Okay, so we've got dressing up. So let's create an actor that will act as a target. So I'm gonna do that. I can do that in Blueprint, I guess, easy enough, but let's do it in C++. So you just kind of see how it's done in C++, which is not really, technically not really hardcore C++, but we'll. So I'm going to use a parent class called actor, and what are we going to call this? So in Unreal parlance or Unreal code design, so actors should start with an A. So from here, the coding standard. So I'm gonna use a target, which kind of works well, right? So target, and that's fine. Create class, and that's it. It should open up Visual Studio for me. Okay, so hopefully I haven't scared anyone yet. So this, the Unreal flavor of C++ is really quite simple. Well, I would say a lot easier to handle than pure C++ anyways, which can sometimes be a problem because you kind of want the same control. Of course, you can still go down to standard C++, but it has a lot of benefits, like garbage collection and stuff. It's all taken care of for you, mostly, and most of the times correctly. Yeah, so it's kind of like C# that looks like C++, kind of. But yeah, anyways, it is C++, and you need to know a little bit about C++ to get it working. But it's not something as daunting. You shouldn't be daunted with it, as I would say, if you're coming from Unity, for example. All right. So we've got a couple of stuff here. Maybe just go over them. So we've got the constructor, and this basically tells you that the actor would work every tick, and at the moment, does it need to? We can save some resources, obviously, if we don't have it running every tick. For now, I'm just gonna leave it there and have it run every tick, because I don't know if I'm gonna use it or not. I could always bring it back, I guess. So, but let's just keep it there. Begin play is when the game starts. So this is the function that's called, and super begin play is basically the class, the super class that this thing is based on, which is the actor. Yep, and yeah, and just runs the begin play function of the superclass. Yeah, so that's the starting point that we have. And right now, what does the target look like, right? So I can't live stream what's in my imagination, obviously, so I would just have to try to explain it. How I'm imagining this is I've got like targets like swarming in towards you, so we'll probably represent them with either a sphere or a cube, maybe a cube, and then just have them flying towards you, and the cube would have, or the target would have something inside it. If it's something inside it, you shouldn't shoot it, or maybe it should be the other way around. We'll decide afterwards. So, and then, yep. Yeah, and so so we'll need a static mesh for that to represent the target. So we'll need actually 2 static meshes for that. Okay, so we'll need the outer shell and the inner shell static mesh, and yeah, and then we'll need materials for it, obviously. We could, of course, just simply use a mesh and material mesh that has its own material and just leave it at that. But for the purpose of this stream, just to show you how it's done from within C++, we can just do that. All right, so we'll have 2 materials and 2 meshes for now, and I could make it a destructible. In 4.18, they have this. It was easy on the earlier versions, but in 4.18 they have this uplug. They moved it to this apex destruction one, and I'm not sure if it's going to be the same, and I don't want to kind of go through it on a game jam stream when I'm trying to teach others stuff. Yep. So we're gonna try to duplicate, not try, we're gonna duplicate destruction stuff by doing it from the material. So I'm gonna show you how to do that as part of the stream, maybe tomorrow. It's quite basic. It's if you've done your models correctly. So I'm gonna do a modeling, I guess, tomorrow, and then we're gonna do the material from scratch. Kind of like spread out it should have a camera so you can see my hands moving. Then we're gonna explode those, just explode some vertices. And yeah, to kind of mimic, but it's gonna be I think it will end up kind of like actually a nicer explosion for what we want. So, which might, normally you would want an art direction for a game. So we're not gonna have that. Let's see how the game goes, and we're gonna work through it, and then do the art as we go along. And yeah, all right. So I guess that's a plan. All right, which could sound like a bit of mumbling, but yeah, just thinking my way through it because I haven't actually planned anything for the game, so I'm just going through it live as how I would normally do it. So what you're seeing now is me coding, and thinking at the same time and trying to speak at the same time. So it's quite a bit of a different skill. But let's see. All right, so let's go to the header file. So the header file is C++, where you set up all your properties. Also in properties for the class, at least for this Unreal class that we're making. And if you remember, I've created this code snippets as well. So we're gonna make so it's gonna make my typing a lot easier for here, I hope. All right, so we're gonna create two properties. We need a static mesh that the blueprint user is going to be able to set. So we're going to create this actor so that it's going to be usable in blueprint. And that's how I tend to like to work. Do most of the hardcore stuff, or most of the core stuff, not hardcore, most of the core stuff in C++, and then expose it nicely for blueprint users. Yeah. And so that gives you the ability of having less spaghetti code. I tend not to be in the camp of complete C++ and complete blueprint. Tend to be right somewhere in the middle, like doing things, some of the core stuff in C++, where things I believe should be, especially a lot of operations that are quite intensive, CPU or GPU wise, and then you move. And then in blueprint is mainly to just control the flow, or logic flow, right? And kind of makes it, yeah. And I like that balance. So, but finding the right balance sometimes is difficult, especially in a game jam. Yeah, where you're kind of pressed on time. So sometimes I do tend to, for game jams, do everything in blueprint. But for this one, I'm gonna do the way I normally do in most of my my commercial projects. All right. So we do a U property, and so U property is a macro from Unreal. So we have the U property. What do we do? U static mesh, and so it's going to be a pointer. What do we want to do with this? U static mesh. What do we call it? The outer shell, right? And I hate it when Visual Studio does it. I'm just gonna copy that for the inner shell. So should really put some comments in, but this is quite self-explanatory for now. Inner shell. And then let's create some of the materials. So we do another uprop. Oops. What are we doing? So, all right. So there are several classes, and the way to I was just trying to think of how to tell you this without having you being overwhelmed. So a lot of this can come in time through experience using the engine. Some of them, if you start off with Blueprint, some of them are right easy to remember, and then it's easy to kind of translate it into C++. But you can use Unreal Engine API reference, which I use quite often. And you could have a class hierarchy here, and you could see how everything is set up. So it's really worth your time, I would say, to kind of have a look through of how, not read through all of this, obviously, but kind of have a look through of all the core structure of how the engine works. Kind of helps you with finding things. So most of the time, you tend to try to find things. I don't know of anyone who actually knows 100% of the engine, of everything, of the code in there. I don't think the Epic engineers know all of it, at least not one Epic engineer knows all of the code of everything in there. So you tend to use, of course, because it's quite huge, obviously. So you need to have the API reference. So anyway, so what was I getting to? I was trying to create a, So I know for a fact that I need to use a material interface. And what is that? So it basically allows the player. So material interface is kind of like it's an interface. So it allows so that the player can actually, the blueprint user can use either a material or a material instance. So let's, unless I got it wrong. Yep, so material interface. So you could see, this is the interface class for both material and of course a material instance, an MI. So you have those two. So if you set your property like this, the player can actually set a material or a material instance, obviously. So it's an interface class. Okay, I'm not gonna go through all of the basic object-oriented programming stuff, but yeah. But for now, it's something that you might want to read through if you're not familiar with it. It's an interface class, and this materials are implementations of that interface. So you have got a material and the material instance, and I'm just gonna use that. Okay. At least as far as I understood it. I haven't actually looked at that code, but it is a material interface. All right, so we have, we're gonna use a U-material interface. All in all, basically what it means is, if you don't want to dig through it, is that the player in Blueprint can actually, and I will show you how, what it looks like, is that you can use a material or a material interface, regardless. So, so alter shell mat. Let's spell it out. And so right now we're just doing some, I'm trying to structure this so that it's a little bit easy for beginners. So inner shell material, because I'm gonna use this once I re-review this live stream. I'm gonna reuse this for a more formal live stream of VR coding. So this is kind of like my practice run as well for that series. So we've got that. All right. So, and I don't think there's a lot. Don't think anyone's watching. I'm not sure. Find out. Well, it's gonna be recorded and it's gonna be in the YouTube stuff, and I hope I don't lose subscribers out of this. But anyways, we have all right. So what have we done? So we've created that, and now we obviously want to dynamically generate a static mesh component, and set the material. So it's something I do. You tend to do quite often. So I've actually added that in my snippets, I believe. So at begin play, we're gonna do something. Set create actors outer shell. Oops, what am I doing? I don't know what I called it. Use that tick mesh. I should have named it UE. Yep, so we're gonna create a static mesh component. So this is just some of my sample codes taken from my plugin code. Target static mesh. All right, so what did we call it? Outer shell. So we just need to call it outer shell. All right. That's it. Sometimes the Visual Studio IntelliSense is not so intelligent. So use static mesh seems okay to me. Sorry, the keyboard. Using a German keyboard. What? I think we just need to compile, but let's just, because that should be correct, unless I mistyped it somehow. All right, and then we're gonna create a, so we're gonna, this one I'm just checking if the player actually plays something in the outer shell so that we don't get errors or we don't crash null pointers. So outer shell, and then we create a component out of whatever's defined in there. So create an outer shell component, outer shell component. So these are just some of the things that you need. So you register the component with the world. You want to set mobility. So in this case, we do want it movable. We attach it to this, which is the actor. And do we need collision? I think we need collision for, yeah, because we're gonna do a gaze for this, so obviously, and then we're gonna hit it. So we're gonna do query and physics and set static mesh is outer shell. And then we're gonna do the material. It's called outer shell material. Then we're gonna set the outer shell component, set the material, oops. To the outer shell material. Index 0. Okay. We might need to change this depending on the model, but if we keep it simple, that should be okay. It's just, oh, why is my output coming out there? It's not my normal rig, but let's see. Did I mess up something? That's strange. Oops. What did succeed? Oh. Yep. So we're gonna, forgot to do a, should we do it from the begin play? We should have a private variable for this. So got public. So I've created the static mesh, but forgot to create the static mesh component. Mesh component. Let's call it outer shell. What did we call it? The outer shell component. Okay. And we will create an inner shell component as well. Should get rid of that error. Yep, that's it. Yep, so I messed up there. Okay. So that should define the ninth, let's look at the first one that come up. It's strange. I forget something. So you property, it's a reference. and it's a static mesh. I need to. It's the first time I'm coding in 18. Is there something? Not sure why that is. That's interesting. Let's see. Can't find it. It's fine. The code is right. We'll have to try to clean that thing. Okay, not a very good start. A very good intro to 4C++. So I'm just gonna clean it because it doesn't seem to be seeing all of our macros properly. At least that's what I think. Let's close Unreal. Really, you could do hot reload, but there's something going on. Did I clean solution? Should I clean? Unless I'm doing something really silly, I somehow can't see. We created the actor from Unreal, which is fine. We shouldn't have needed to restart, but yeah, so it's cleaned. And let's rebuild it from scratch, see what happens. That's strange. Somehow doesn't recognize this as a proper class. So I don't want to recompile the engine. We'll try moving to a binary copy if we can do this. Because right now I don't want to. It's kind of like it's not seeing all the U classes for some reason. So sometimes this does happen, although it hasn't happened for me in a while. Maybe because it's such a fresh copy of 4.18. Not sure. Come on, let's link. So normally you have this issues when creating plugins, but right now we're just doing some really vanilla actor class. And nothing too fancy, nothing yet. Anyways, so. It's like it's not been parsed properly. Okay, so might take a while. I don't know if I should grab coffee now. It's kind of. It's 11. I want to have lunch soon, but let's see. I want to finish at least. We still have quite a bit. It's not that much to do. I'm just gonna make some coffee for a sec and then come back really quickly while that's loading up. Okay, guys? Okay, one sec. Okay, alright, I'm back. Sorry. Just had to grab some coffee while that thing builds. That's taking a while. Oh, you gotta be kidding. Did I build... Uh-oh. I rebuilt the solution accidentally, yeah. Dang, okay. Might have... Ooh, then this is gonna be a very long stream. Arg. Alright, so while that's running, we might as well do something useful. Let's see, what else do we need to do? Problems we're in the build. No, we can't actually do much. But we can do a commit. Ooh, that's new. Alright, we're gonna have to do this just the once to get everything set up, but should be okay. Hope. Okay, so that's gonna build for quite a bit, I think. I think I might need to stop the stream and then get back after it's built. Because I don't think I'm gonna be able to talk through that such a long lag time, but maybe watch some telly, or maybe I should play a game. Could play Paragon for a bit. That's possible, I guess. Let's see. Shouldn't take that long. I don't know if I should watch some telly or maybe play Paragon. It's just not the purpose of this stream, but okay, that looks like it's gonna take a while. Since I don't know if anyone's actually watching. Do you find out? Let's see. Ooh, there's one, which is me, I guess. And I guess it's gonna be recorded, so I'm not sure if I actually want to play a game. And the game would roughly take around an hour or so. Let's look at the... Okay, so this is a game jam that I'm gonna try to submit to. Steven Universe, a jam song. There's a jam song. I don't know what that is.
The sun is bright, our shirts are clean, we're sitting up above the sea. Come on and share this jam with me.
Okay, alright, so, well, let's see. We might need our own music. Okay, so actually might play a little bit. Let's play. Okay, I'm gonna play a bit of Paragon. while I'm waiting. I could stop the stream or not. Well, might as well see how good the stream is with speed ups like this. Or should I play a VR game? Nah. Let's see how good. Alright, I'm gonna play Paragon while I wait for the compilation. It's gonna be an issue if I'm gonna do live streams of coding when I'm doing in between builds. Although I shouldn't have built the full engine now, but I should have stuck with the binary for this, at least for the initial live stream. That was my fault. But let's see. Alright, so I'm playing Paragon. Okay, so I'm using a different keyboard. Let's see. Alright, I should be okay. Play with this keyboard and mouse for this game. Let's see. Ooh, what is that? Claim. Yomi Spectre. What's that? Alright, let's just play one game. Scop. See if anyone's around. Play. Ooh. Yep, I think everyone's having lunch or something. Or still sleeping. Perfect. Yeah, if this doesn't pan out, I'm just gonna have to call this stream out and then do another one once the build is finished. Oh, there we go. Right when I can't click. Oh, kidding. Sorry. Yes, I'm ready. Yes, ready. Oh, are you kidding? Sorry. What the hell? Everything's so dark. Yeah, now you. That is going my way, they. Alright, so. Still. I kind of want to see how the build is going while I'm playing. So. Come on. Just right now, triple checking. So, static mesh, inner shell, material interface, components are there. Looks all good. Just needs proper compile. So, alright, so just gonna wait for that and play something. Come on. All right, so ready? Yeah, now someone is okay. There we go. Come on, Paragon. Yeah, because I think I've cleaned the solution. It's kind of like in a panic mode, so shouldn't have done that. And hence we had to recompile. Damn it. Okay. Oops. Sorry. Could I say that? Stream. Probably not. Yeah, so yeah, I think did I do a full clean? Probably did. Ooh, shit. Oh, sorry. Dang. Uh-oh. Why did that happen? Ready, yes. This got me to the game. This is kind of like work then. Wait for build. But normally I don't play. Come on. Why is that taking so long? I think I'm really using my machine quite a bit. It's whirring a lot. GPU is my CPU. Come on. What? Something wrong with that. Happened there. Maybe I need to have something set up when I'm doing a stream. Alright, so don't know. I don't care. So I was just gonna play a little bit. But I guess we have to wait for the build. I'm gonna move it to the binary build just to prevent this from happening again. Although I tend to want to stuff. Alright, so we're gonna have to wait for this build. It doesn't take this long normally. By the way, it's just that I think I may have just cleaned the entire solution by accident. Did I? Have properly compiled it? Not sure. So we will need to wait for this build to actually finish. With my luck today, it might actually finish by the time I cancel it, the stream, but yeah, we can. All right, sorry folks. That build is still happening and we just have to wait. I'll come back. So if you're watching this on a recording, you will need to just check back on the next one. I guess it's also good. You don't have to flip through or kind of skip through the video. I'm still hoping it'll finish now. Oh, nope.